I don't know if you have anything in particular you'd like to mention about these two players.
I mean, both are pretty strong. OpiWrites has been extremely active recently, and WarningTrack, being a diamond player, hasn't been as active, but definitely played some. So my money's still on WarningTrack, but I think if you're above 3,000 games, I think you can upset any top player. So I think OpiWrites could definitely give WarningTrack a run for his money.
Very true, very true. And also, OpiWrites has been very active in organizing the tournaments recently, and so has been very competitively minded. While Warning Track might be more about using this as an opportunity to get sharp before SCL. I know that he would really love to get as far as he can in this tournament, especially if he could match up against Kaylee, which is a possible finals from here on out. I mean, oh, sorry, not even finals. That's who he will face if he's able to win it. So, Warning Track would very much like to face Kaylee and get some much needed research as a research oriented player. And so I know that that's part of the thing he's aiming for. Is I'm assuming he's just hungry for a match versus Kaylee. Aside from being able to get a shot at the finals. I mean, right now the way that the brackets are set up, if we have Kaylee and possibly Warning Track, possibly OpiWrites in the top half, and then we're gonna have Ryu and a Bear versus the winner of Lazy Bear and David W. So we're gonna have finals of at least something that is either OpiWrites or Crazy Kaylee or Warning Track in the top half, and then one of the I don't even want to say new players anymore because they've been playing so goddamn much since the release of Steam Early Access. That one of that generation, I guess, like of the about we're coming up on a year almost, I guess more like 9 months. But the people that are starting to enter into the veteran status of that wave of players.
Yeah, they have about 4,000, 5,000 games apiece, and they're all serious threats. And just being active, I think, is one of the biggest factors in how well you perform. You're up to date on the meta. You have prepared new tactics to deal with the common strategies snipers employ. So I think being active, honestly, is one of the key things to being successful in competitive setting.
Okay. I believe our first map is going to be Terrace with Warning Track as Pearls. Is that what you have as well?
I do.
Great. Let me get the scoreboard set up for just a moment. And then also let me change the caster banner because now we have Yeesh. All right, sorry for the delay. Now we have the scoreboard all ready to go. Warning Track versus OpiWrites. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
One of the very interesting things about Terrace is that there's been in the Winter Cup at least, it's been a surprisingly high amount of spy wins due to Civ Shot or Spy Win. And I think that's just due to spies taking more aggressive risks, like purloining and trying to bait a shot, or half and just going for it, because Terrace is usually a very difficult map to just win straight up.
Very true. And I know that Track has certain convictions about Terrace and the way that he likes to play it. And I'm curious how that's going to play out versus OP. We get just a little bit of seduction progress done. We're going to be committed to the 3 for at the very least. But I'm more interested in what Track thinks he can get done. Right now, we're not in a position where it looks like we're not aiming for like a reverse bug, for example, because even if Ambassador walked behind us in this position, it would still be kind of visible to the sniper. So he's definitely just trying to hang out in here. He does an innocent talk, just trying to throw a little bit of flirt timing off if he's just waiting for the pacing on the flirt, because I think he's going to be timer flirting in this position. Oh, and he
Oh,
red
man.
BBs.
Oh no, this is how
Kitty Kids low lit.
this is the strat.
This is
Wow.
plan strat. This is from before the match. We plan. We're obviously kidding. So the thing that's crazy is so back in the day, red BB was death. Back in old art, it was just death because the entire torso moved as well. It was a very, very, very visible tell, and so sometimes we overreact to red BBs, and that was a big overreaction. I mean, we didn't. I am pretty surprised that we didn't catch that because we were right in the front conversation circle, and I'm sure that WarningTrack uh, is pretty sure that he's in the top tier of suspects because the laser came over. But right now, I mean, I guess I hope we
Any
beat
other
here.
red?
Okay, good.
Yeah, we have to at this point. One thing to note is that Warning Track had a great opportunity for BB, but Smallman was out, and he had a fingerprint. So Warning Track waited until he went back in conversation, and Opie stalls him highlight, and he takes the shot.
He takes the
So
shot.
this frame, I guess, worked.
And so, and this shot makes total sense if you miss the cough because who would be really hard to see cough? Smallman. Smallman would be the hardest person to see cough. And so this absolutely lines up, but it only lines up if you're sure that you know who coughed. And I think that snipers, you have to be more humble about catching the cough because it's really not as obvious as it was. You take the information that you know you can get. The information you know you can get is the normal BB information, and you also know it must be someone talking. So don't try to like overthink it and try to decide who you think coughed. Instead, see who is not talking, low light them. They're not the spy. If there's a red BB and even if they're in a conversation circle, not talking, not spy, if you get there in time, because they still have to do a stop talk after their cough and it has to be a little bit. So
A little bit
unfortunate.
Yeah, a little bit interesting from the sniper perspective. The instant the cough happens, Warning Track is, even though he's in his talking animation, his hands are down in the idle position. So it really looks like, from Opie's perspective, that if he didn't see the hand go up just a little bit earlier, that there's no way White Dress could be talking here. So I can totally understand why. Well, if you didn't see that cough, then it had to be someone I didn't see. Smallman is number one suspect. And he did not BB when Smallman was out, so even more suspicion added onto that. So pretty nice there, even though it was certainly unintentional.
Certainly unintentional. And the other thing that I would say that sort of uh, uh, tilts snipers on red BBs is they feel like they need to take a shot earlier when they really don't. Smallman would have had to have flirted, and I'm guessing got credited with the bug, which is a lot. But I guess if you narrow down the party at that point, all that Smallman is left, you're just hoping, okay, maybe I did miss something, and you're crediting Smallman with doing other shenanigans. But yeah, unfortunate for OpiWrites, and so I hope it does not tilt at all, even though it definitely could. So bad start necessarily, but definitely not something that you can't come back from. Opie really is going to want to win this next game, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, when you have a bad sniper game like that, usually it's really good if you can just follow it up with a solid spy game. Just relax a little bit. You don't have to do anything mechanically intensive. There's not too much focus. So usually spy, it's a good time to just relax and try to get a clean.
The thing I will say that Opie definitely has going in their favor is they seem to have a relaxed personality. So I don't think they're going to overreact to just dropping a sniper game like that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to drop a sniper game. It's a bummer that they didn't catch the cough, and it's a bummer to have the wrong shot, but I'm pretty confident they're not going to overreact too much. Although, unfortunately, we do get a 48% on the flirt, meaning that 2 flirt is out of range. So we are going to have to talk at least twice more.
Yeah, I know from knowing about Track is that he will care if you like cheese him super hard, but he's not going to pay the closest attention to flirt tracking. So even though Opie writes there did a talk while leaving and did a really weird path, Track's not going to credit that too much. Maybe he'll make a note of it, but you're not going to get highlight or low lit off.
Oh, I just got a note saying that Smallman had two early fingerprints in that game, so the shot makes a little bit more sense, but unfortunately still on the red BB not being seen. All right, so we are burning a little bit of time here. We really are reluctant to BB with Orange and Smallman out of the conversation circle, but we're gonna have to start doing something soon. Hopefully, Orange Dress joins us. No dice.
Yeah, if one of those characters from the bar join us, we can do a BB split and delegate ourselves, and that puts us into a 50-50, which honestly, as I said on Terrace, you have to take some risks, considering this map is quite difficult to play and just win cleanly on.
And we're gonna have to do something because Seduction Target might not be joining us for quite a while. We need to start thinking about what's the next thing we're gonna do is because Seduction Target picks up Briefcase. Looks like they are not even gonna join a conversation. Oh no, they are joining the far conversation. So I'm guessing we're gonna have to chase at this point because we only got 48 seconds and we're gonna have to talk twice, at least twice.
And then, yeah, what's the final mission? I guess the one thing we could
Banana bread.
attempt is a immediate, but it's been so far now. It's definitely been past a minute since Orange Dress took the list, so this is going to be really tough.
99%. It's very sad, but it was pretty much inevitable. And so, like, there
It
was
was
nothing.
de-
Yeah.
it was destined from the start. Whenever we got the 48%,
We go for a
uh,
bug. Unfortunately, the angling on the bug, there was a lot of open space on the side of the arm. I think that Opie was intending to bug with the other arm, but unfortunately, just the angling that we had, there was a lot of empty ground to see the arm bug.
yeah, this is a pretty actually a somewhat common bug. It's coming more into popularity. Is this bug as you enter the conversation, and then the idea is that your arm will be behind the ambassador, but unfortunately it's the wrong arm, and WarningTrack just had solid control of the party. He wasn't going to let that slip by.
All right, well, WarningTrack picks up both games on Terrace. The second one was a pretty standard game. I think the first one was really the one that got away from Opie. So, but really not too bad. Going down the two games isn't the end of the world, but it does mean we need to pick something up, and probably soon versus a player of WarningTrack's caliber. So we're gonna need to get something done on this map, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we are starting as wheels. We're gonna roll right over to get a quick side inspect and some for progress. I think that this is like if Trek could will it like this, I think this is gonna be like one of his favorite types of openers is getting a little bit of progress on two missions like this and give himself options. Gonna love it. It's a great place to be a spy. Also hits the green, so possibly we could do something of a rush on this map because Ballroom, even though it feels pretty big, is still an any 4 of 8 map. If we're able to get another seduction done, like let's say if we go to the other conversation circle, get a banana bread, and just finish the inspect, we only have to do one more thing, honestly. Banana bread might not be the best with the amount of people in though, but I'm just jumping in. Although we are not close enough, I think, to our seduction target to finish here, but I don't think he cares. I think that was a conscious decision. It wasn't like it was a few pixels off, and we are gonna contact.
Banana bread.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous contact, and we're in position to reverse bug. We have pretty nice cover now with Irish and Morgan both blocking. So if the ambassador ever paths our way, that's a free bug. Another thing to note is that we didn't get highlight for inspects. Another popular thing new players like to do is just highlight for 3 inspects, and if you just get side statues, they won't highlight you. So this can be pretty solid if you wait a long time. Let's see if Opie remembers. He does,
He
so he
does.
highlights for completion. But that can be really nice to get those early inspects, and then maybe the sniper will forget about it later since they don't highlight for it.
Very true, very true. And I'm like right now, I think Trek is just trying to plan out what his last mission is going to be. It possibly is a purloin. Are we going to bet everything on this? We are deciding not to, and we have a ton of options here. We might just hang out and go for a reverse bug. Unfortunately, there's not that much cover for the arm, and it doesn't really
Banana
matter
bread.
because, okay, we're going to throw a bit of confusion in there, and we're going to purloin. Ooh, it is very visible. The plan was there, but unfortunately Opie responded correctly and didn't go for the lowlights during the banana bread and missed the purloin. But that was very intentional play by WarningTrack, but Opie was on top of it.
Yeah, just being highlight there makes that a bit tougher. If we wanted to do that, maybe we do it before we get inspects so we don't get highlight, but either way, that was kind of tough. Wheels is also not the character you really want to be bugging with because their arm is so low and the bugging animation just isn't great. So I can understand the purloin play. If you get a green there, that's really good. So
It's
fair
very
play to
true.
WarningTrack. Just didn't work out.
Yeah, and the thing is, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start the next game and talk about it a little bit. So we're starting the next game where Opie as is Irish, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Is what I really like is the use of resources. So the resource that we had in that match is we had 3 missions done and we just had to get one hardtail done basically, or a couple of fingerprints. Something we had to get something difficult done. And I liked the use of the resources. Is there's probably still a lot of neutral lights out there where if there's only a few highlights left in the party, you really have to opt more for a sort of frame or getting something done where they want to shoot, like getting a green purloin and making people get suspicious or whatnot. But instead, we go for an early-ish fake banana bread, which makes sense for the sniper to really try to nail down the lowlights in that scenario, and then hopefully they're looking away from purloin long enough that it gets off, and by the time they see it, it's too late. So I like the plan a lot. Uses resources well, but Opie responds very strongly. We are at 51 on the flirt, and we're probably just gonna hop into something like statues, maybe. Yeah, it looks like it.
WarningTrack, unlike Opie, will probably highlight for the side statues. Yeah. So
And a
now it's going to
fingerprint
be
too.
really tough. But yeah, fingerprint. So 2 missions in one is always nice. So even the highlight might just be. And we could get a bug here. Irish, even though she's highlight, she still has a great bug. So unlike Wheels, where bug is kind of out of the picture once we're highlight, as Irish, it's still very plausible to get a clean bug by.
Something that I'm noticing I already like a lot about Opie's play, moves his camera a lot during when he's just doing nothing in conversation, looking to get a bearing of the party. Sometimes, and this is something that I do as my spy, I don't look around enough and like try to get like, because I'm kind of just like waiting around for seduction to cool down, think about what my next move is. But sometimes it's better to look around, whip around, see where's Ambassador, where's Toby, what are people doing, other people at statues. A lot of camera movement even when we're not moving from Opie, which I love. Also, pretty good opportunity for banana bread at this point. 3 pretty full
Banana red.
distributed conversations, and another one has a double agent inside of it.
Yeah, especially versus WarningTrack, he's not going to be guarding Softails incredibly closely. So I think getting Contact and Seduce done fairly aggressively is a good strategy versus. And now we've got just Softails remaining, but we are highlight. And the Ambassador hasn't moved yet, so it might be really difficult to get this last prank.
Yeah, and I was curious about whether or not we were going to try to do the print first or the statues first. Right now, I think the problem that I have right here is Track is on top of how far we are in our mission progress because he is guarding that swap extremely closely, which means he knows that Irish has 3 missions done, no more, no less, and he knows he needs to guard that last one, making the fingerprint really difficult. I think we get shot there just in case we misjudged how far away the bug was. So maybe we were worried that Opie was able to sneak in a bug and that we weren't able to see it. So Track is on top of it, and then actually Track himself mentions this a lot. He credits he credits himself with not being sure, that that would be too far for a bug, and takes the safer shot instead. Is willing to admit that they could have missed something like the bug at that point. So on top of Opie that game, pretty solid. Opie played pretty well. I think they would have died for that last fingerprint either way, but not bad at all.
Yeah, just kind of unfortunate there. I understand OP's uh, what he wanted to do there because he wants to get the blue book as soon as possible so that he doesn't create OT when the ambassador puts it back. But then, unfortunately, Track is really aware that OP just needs one more mission. So, really tough there. But now, what's the score? 3-1?
3-1 WarningTrack. So honestly, we're very much still in range, but uh, definitely needs to pick up the next couple of games if we really want to try pushing it down the stretch. Veranda, honestly, Veranda we'd be okay with the split. We really need to avoid going down 2 games on Veranda. So we're going to be putting a lot of pressure on these couple, but not the easiest map to sweep. But we need to not get swept. All right, and WarningTrack as queen, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, RB going to opt into this book play.
Looks like we're going for no control, but are we going to just immediately bail? The laser's on this side, so Warning Track decides otherwise, but goes for the interesting. I guess he saw that the laser was moving around. It's going to be tougher to catch microfilm when you're moving around than when you're not.
And we do not opt for the reverse drive-by bug, which was a good decision because Opie seemed to be had eyes on both arms, so it would have been pretty apparent. And so I do like we're almost certainly going to be going for an 18 microfilm at this point, and it's the kind of thing that you can kind of sprinkle in into your gameplay. One thing that I always get bothered by microfilm because I almost always direct transfer. But one thing that I can definitely say for the for action test transferring is that you can sprinkle it into the rest of your game much more easily because you're not burdened necessarily by taking books out and moving them around. It's easier to get it done quicker, or sorry, get it done in between things quicker rather than having your hands taken up by a book for so long. All right, and we're probably going to be hoping for a contact at some point here. There's enough people in conversation circle, but we're moving away from that. We're just going to pick up our first couple of inspects. So let's see. What do you think the game plan is here?
I think for sure we go to this blue bookshelf now, especially since the ambassador's there. It's definitely better than red shelf for microfilm. So now we're going to get fingerprints, the last microfilm, inspects. We are highlight though. We went to that bookcase really quick right after the green one, so Opie highlighting maybe worried about the possible microfilm rush.
Very true. We get seduction done. Right now, let's see what we have scouted is we're gonna inspect and we're probably gonna transfer at some point. Um, we're almost certainly going to want to do the action test transfer at blue bookcase unless we get cover from someone in front of us on red bookcase. It's a little bit odd. Green bookcase is often the best one to do action tests at unless red becomes like extremely much more difficult to track if you have someone blocking the arm motion at red bookcase. But we are going to be going for blue, and it's going to be a fingerprint at the same time, and we get a green test, and it's off screen, so this is looking pretty good for getting away with this at least, but we do still need to get statues and fingerprint, and then presumably double agent. And that's a lot to do when you have this highlight, and there's not any other highlights on the map at all except for Toby and Ambassador.
That was sort of ugly though.
We
Warning Track went over to
Banana
Duke at
bread.
blue bookcase and then chased him again to statues.
Yeah, but
It's like,
we have a green swap coming off, and we get shot for the bail, unfortunately. So okay, so the end of that game, we decide to opt out of the fingerprint because maybe we correctly assumed how much pressure was on us. So we go for the double agent, bail on the double agent. Someone's walking over to collect the statue at first, but the bail itself is enough to get a shot. So big calculated risk, but it does not work so far. WarningTrack has taken a few calculated risks versus Opie, but Opie has actually been pretty on top of it, pretty comfortable with shooting, and not basically buying into WarningTrack's gambit.
yeah, I think Warning Track just getting highlight early on sort of sealed his fate a little bit early. If he had, I don't know, waited in that conversation, maybe got a reverse bug, and then we get put in the same position, maybe we don't get highlight for going to the blue bookcase later, since it would have been at least 2 minutes have passed at that point.
I
But yeah,
definitely agree. I think that WarningTrack assumed he was much less of a suspect than he was, and so it was more important for the swap to not be seen than for the bail to be seen because I don't think he thought he was. He definitely didn't think he was the only highlight on the map.
right. Especially since when he went to statues, he didn't see the laser come over him, so he's like, oh, maybe I didn't even get highlight for inspects. So
Very true.
kind of playing into Opie's plan there.
I actually really like that point a lot because yeah, he would have had to assume the highlight earlier, and so when the highlight didn't come for the inspect, track would be forced basically into whether or not he just completely was under Opie's radar, or they would have been highlight earlier. And we are going to go ahead and start the next game. Opie as Crazy Eyes or Mom or Teal. There's so many names for them. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
And hey, look, we're in the exact same position Warning Track was, and we go to the green bookshelves. Let's see how Opie plays this game.
Yeah, I'm curious. Track is keeping Opie on screen. But like there is like it's the high level BM reflecting the same game plan against the sniper you've just played, but we seem to opt out of it at least immediately.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to hold on to this book. This is probably the most common direct transfer, but WarningTrack does prefer to mark books, so he, at least in this situation, he did mark OP's. So it's going to be tough unless OP can somehow cheese this book with maybe a contact and put it into red and then run away.
It's going to be tough while Ambassador's still on this side because there's going to be enough focus put on this side that he's not going to be. Oh, wait, no, we're just going for it. Well, we'll see. Track is zoomed in, but will he see that Teal is walking away from that bookcase and causing some pathing problems? Not pathing problems for themselves, but pathing problems for the AI and kind of bullying AI around. It definitely happens for other AI, but spies tend to get caught up in a little bit more often. But we seem to get away with it, and we have transfer done. We don't seem to be under huge suspicion, and we got 67% on the flirt. It's not looking bad for OP. We might be able to tie this up.
Yeah, there was some wild pathing with the AMBA, so there's very likely that WarningTrack was extremely worried about guarding that and not too worried about. Maybe he'll remember, like, hey, he didn't put that back, but looks like we're okay.
Unfortunately,
Uh,
I think we were doing fine until that bug. So the thing that kills the bug path for me on this one is the fact that they're forced to bounce, right? Where when you're having to stay close to ambassador, so when there's bouncing, spies when they're trying to bug will try to stay near the ambassador, but if there's bouncing, AI will bounce away. And so not only was the bug path suspicious in that it was near the ambassador, but it stayed near the ambassador when AI would have bounced away from them, and so it made the bug that much more apparent.
yeah, just was not quite aware that Orange Dress was coming into the conversation. And then if Orange Dress wasn't there, the bug would have been much tighter and harder to see since he could have taken a harder angle and the curtain would have hidden it. But then Orange Dress comes in, we get bumped out, and then it's just in the plain view for WarningTrack to catch.
All right. Well, so we definitely would have loved to have tied it up there as Opie, but holding there was not the end of the world when we get to step in Tan, which definitely could swing either way. And so this is going to be a big fulcrum for the rest of the match. And we're going to be starting with WarningTrack as Wheels, sort of a discount Smallman that's sort of underrated on Tan for being able to get away with things in the blind spot. Uh, uh, Oh, I don't know if Smallman's actually. Oh, the Smallman is in here. Good job. Good job. Making sure that we have our cast selected. All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Not picking him as ST though, risking the potential Smallman SDA. But yeah, Wheels on this map, even though Wheels' bug is not really good in general, on this map, it's even better than Gallery. Insanely hard to see.
Absolutely. And also, like, sort of like every once in a while, I'm wondering if there's enough built-in fear of wheels at this point because right now we're set up for the bug. When Ambassador leaves, we're really hoping that the Ambassador left behind us doesn't bite, but the position that Track is in looks like that. Are we gonna go for it right now? Here it is, and it is invisible except for the wait. No, but it doesn't take. Ooh, I'm really surprised that it actually doesn't take. It seemed to be right on. So the animation did play, but very unfortunately, Ambassador decides not to stay close enough to us. Maybe we're hoping Ambassador is a little bit kinder. Maybe he goes to the back bookshelf and we're able to get another attempt off because almost certainly we are here because we want to get this bug. Ambassador is going to stick around here for a little bit, but they keep. One of the things about Tane is Ambassador never stays around long. Like, not only is Bug sort of really difficult to catch on Tane, Ambassador can never really rest in one spot very long. You can't. There's like no conversation that Ambassador's not going to get bullied out of within like 15 seconds. So we might just stick around here and decide to go for a Bug later, but unless someone else gets shot, we're really focused in on trying to get the reverse drive-by.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically invisible and it's a free mission, and it's basically a necessity in this point in the meta at least to get bug, where people are so reliant on getting it that not getting it is really bad because you end up having to rush another mission that you don't want to run. So getting this reverse bug is going to be huge.
Banana
We
bread.
just sprinkle a contact in there. We give what is that? 3 low lights off. Not as good as I think he was hoping for. Tex, or sorry, I can't remember. Someone left right as the banana bread was going off, which is unfortunate. But we do need to sprinkle in some other things there. We get the green purloin, so at this point we're definitely hoping for a wrong shot more than we were hoping to finish missions. There are a lot of fingerprints, by the way, being put on this map. There's two at least on statues. Book has been touched at least twice, I want to say, and then obviously all the ambient fingerprints on briefcase. So I would it'd be hard for OP to hold their shot after the banana bread and purloin have gone off, but unless there's a behavioral read, which there might be because we are one of three remaining non-low lit people. Right now, there's only the highlight on Carlos. We're neutral lit, and General gets knocked out. There's only two people left in play at the moment.
Yeah, that was one of the purloins on Taein where the fade was actually, which is kind of funny. You actually lowlight the character that took the purloin for us just because it was so far in the you get that bug. OP was looking at wheels to see the idle animation so desperately.
Banana bread.
Here's the big
when
moment,
seals...
and there it is. Sorry to jump in there, but unfortunately, Carlos decided the only other person that was out of conversation circle was the one person we really needed to be in conversation circle. And Opie trusts their low lighting enough to say, "Oh, you've eliminated the only other person that I think it's not. I'm willing to take this shot on you," and it is correct.
Yeah, just really on top of the purloin, it seems like. And also just made a ton of aggressive lowlights in like the last minute of the game, which is kind of strange because ideally you'd like to keep as like many suspects open as possible to see like, oh, who's rushing their final mission. But just goes for a bunch of hard reads and gets it down to 2, which basically wins him the game right there.
Yes, seems to be all over the purloin and narrows it down to the possible people that it was. And then, unfortunately, if I had been really curious if Carlos was in conversation, who between Carlos and Wheels would have gotten shot. But yeah, able to pull it off, and an impressive game from Opie. And we're going to be starting on the next one, and then. Right now we are at 4-3 warning track, and he's gonna really want to be holding serve at this point. And we're gonna go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1, go. People in chat are also pointing out that Opie took second in the Taein tournament from a little bit ago, so comfortable on this map.
For sure, and this is not a map that's very easy to get comfy on to set up a rhythm. Very easy for AI to just complete missions and just shoot in. So you have to, one, stop the spy from just timing out and then you losing. That's like one of the hardest things is just, oh, contact, maybe purloin, and then I just lose because I shoot a civilian. So making sure that doesn't happen, and then making sure you don't lose to bug. It's like, whew. Taein is no joke as sniper.
All right, we go ahead and grab a fingerprint. And we're at let's say I'm curious if we're actually gonna do microfilm play. Microfilm play is super disfavored in the current meta on Taein. I hardly ever see it. I never see like that many attempts at the action test, and then also still very rare the full book cheese. So I'm guessing this is still gonna go back
bread.
because it's been so unpopular. But we'll go ahead and see.
Also, an interesting decision. We have the Smallman as the ambassador. So going to make bugs really hard to see in the back, but we do lose the opportunity of potentially framing Smallman for doing shenanigans.
Very true. One thing that I'm not the biggest fan of the Small Ambassador on Taein is that it makes the drink take really obvious for when fingerprints on there. But I think you're right that like there is something to be said. Like right now, you can't see Ambassador at all. Ambassador is completely blocked. But that kind of happens anyways on Taein. And then it makes the drink takes more obvious for when there'll be fingerprints available on drinks. It's an interesting play. I'm of two minds on it.
Oh, we tried to get that walking bug, did the reverse bug just as quickly as possible as we entered the conversation, but Smallman was not close enough to us to get it. We're going to get another opportunity here, though, if the ambassador paths nice. And he doesn't. He takes a wide path, so Opie, after missing out on that opportunity, he's going to go grab the...
We get low lit. All right, well,
Inter-
I'm not sure what this is for. If it's not a tracking mechanism, we are in great shape because we only have to flirt, and then and here I was gonna say one more mission, and it looks like it's gonna be middle statues. Oh, and we get brought
Interesting.
back up though.
What? Oh, wow. That was pretty wild. That Lilith was really interesting just because he was at blue and then went to green, which you'd think deserves a highlight since you've been to. But now Opie
Oh,
not quite done yet.
if we can get this flirt here, I think we're still golden, though. I don't think Track's going to be willing to take. We do flirt before the take, but I don't think he's going to be watching close enough for that. I think we're fine here. If we had to go in a conversation circle and flirt, maybe it was going to be a little bit worse, but we're okay. And that was a big opportunity to being able to take that because only us and Pearls were the highlights at the end of the map, but we didn't do quite enough to get suspicion on us. So well done, and we're even. Opie has brought it back to 4-4.
Yeah, really nice play there. Just idled a lot, got a lot of flirt progress, and then just ended up slow playing with books and got prints late. Late prints, I think, on Tane especially are really strong because you're not going to really get highlight for late print. So, really nice play there by OP to tie.
Yeah, very much so. And we're going to be stepping into a pub, and we have turned bug off. I'm gonna highlight that once again. We have turned bug off. Very unusual, but not the worst decision in my mind. And I'm gonna talk about it a little bit more when we get into it. We're gonna be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Usually it is total insanity in my mind to turn bug off on almost any map, but this is one of the sparsest maps that we have, 3 of 5 pub, and it's one of the easiest to guard bug on. So this, of all the maps to turn bug off on, this makes the most sense to me, I think. I can't think of another map that's easier to guard bug on.
Yeah, the only opportunity would be like if you were in the bar right now, because the ambassador, the only place you can really bug safely is inside the bar, and maybe getting a reverse as the ambassador passes. Like for example, if Rogue was turned on, Irish could have had a reverse there, and that would have been hard to see. But that's a pretty rare situation to happen, and you have to have a good character to do it with too. So I definitely like Purloin more, a little bit more memory that you have to always be updating in your mind, whereas Bug is just in the moment. Is the sniper going to be distracted?
That's a very good way to put it. I like separating out the metrics of memory overload and distraction. Bug pulls more attention of where what the sniper is directly looking at, but less cognitive overload, less things to have to keep in the back of your mind. And honestly, pub has an abundance of things that is relatively lacking in things that direct your attention. And so attention overload on pub, it doesn't really work that well. There's not that many things to look at, honestly. Like there's a little bit on swap, maybe, but we also have turn swap off, but it doesn't take that much. And then just more of it's going to be remembering things of how many times have they been flirting, who is in the purloin, who's in the pool of possible purloiners. So I like this decision, and it's not one that seems super intuitive, but I would encourage people to try to play around with this. Are we in conversation circle? I think we are. Okay, we are.
Just barely, but yeah. And I think we might get highlight for the print, maybe delegate, maybe both. Who knows? But either way, this is a pretty solid.
I'm still distracted by how much I like. I'm still just thinking about the bug thing because now I'm doing a bad job of thinking as a caster, more thinking as a player. Where I'm looking at fingerprint is a high cognition, low less awareness mission, but it has a little bit of both because you have to be aware of all the things. Fake light of some sort on track. Very specifically went over and hovered over track for a second, and I don't know what that was for. I don't know if he was trying to indicate to track at that point.
Yeah, it was a known fake to OP because both SDAs were out. So maybe just thinking, hey, WarningTrack was trying to fake here to bait out a shot on somebody else. So I'm going to fake low at him to get him to do something.
And it almost works. Unfortunately, by the time that Rocker goes to the bar, Delegate has finished. Although it could just be intentional, like pushing people around the map. So right now we do get knocked down though, for possibly just for inactivity. And we'll see. Maybe we'll get knocked back up if we want to actually do a real BB. There is really not much going for this BB at this point though. So WarningTrack wisely, I think, bails and like just gets the reset on this. He's gonna be going for a fingerprint. And then
Yeah,
so
we could go to the far left statue. It has a half print, and that honestly might be the win condition, right?
okay, so
No, we don't go for it.
we're gonna delegate. We're gonna have a fingerprintable drink, delegate, and then we're gonna add time right here at the end, and it's a white test.
Yeah.
So
I think you have to go to statues there because I think you've lost otherwise, and you just have to hope you hit the difficult. I think that's a better out than maybe hoping for a green time ed and then living through that too. That's just going to be really difficult to get by. But yeah, just WarningTrack, unfortunately, not quite well paced enough to complete on time, and then he got forced into a bad position.
yeah, yeah, and I agree. Where it's like there's a big fork in opportunities there about how confident are you hitting. Basically, either way, Warning Track needed to hit a green test, as it were, to win. They're gonna have to get a green test, as it were, on the fingerprint at the statue, or they're gonna have to hit a green test at the windows. One was gonna cause overtime immediately. The other one was gonna delay overtime. So if Warning Track was able to get to the windows green time ad, it was gonna look like possibly either a green time ad or a long delegate to someone. He was still going to have to go delegate to someone. I was really curious of how that would have played out. But regardless, Opie goes up 5-4, and we've been on a bit of a run for Opie here. So a lot of momentum in their favor, probably pretty comfortable. Opie also mirrors the choices of cut missions. I'm not sure if that's sort of a decision that they specifically came into the game expecting, or if it's something that they played against. They're like, I kind of liked this. But regardless, we're going to be starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, interestingly, people don't usually pro in that much compared to a map maybe like Tan, where there's also the bar. I think that's usually because you can get a more clean game with contact and spec seduce on this map compared to Tan, where completing inspects is just not feasible without getting shot.
Okay, well, Trek is going to be starting to feel a little bit of pressure here now that he's been dropping enough of these maps. So I don't think that's going to make him jittery. I think that's going to make him play more solid. So if we're able to basically force a decision into like a low percentage play for Track, he's going to be very reluctant to shoot early, for example. I think, but we'll kind of just see. Seduction target is Smallman on this map, so we were able to push them around a lot, especially with the delegate later. But then again, this is also one of the maps that you care about Smallman the least, so probably going to be overrating that anyways in my mind.
ST helps us out there by leaving after we talk, so giving us an excuse to come back. Although we do need to hit a green test now to complete. But we're in a solid position. I think we could potentially contact and then go for an inspect
Agreed.
and just test warning track and dare him to take the shot.
Oh, we got a BB here. Okay, and we do. I said this is about the best a BB looks. Oh, but as I say that, double agent leaves, specifically like spurning Opie. Oh, that's murder, because that was such a good BB otherwise. I wonder how much. I wonder if Track noticed that DA left during the minute break. It was pretty apparent. So right now, the people that could have done a real contact are really slim.
Yeah, it's just down to general that has real contact, but not even getting highlight for the real contact. So I think warning track might even be on top of this, understanding that this is very likely to be.
So the thing though is it's a large pool of possible fakers because the conversation off to the right was also been a faking conversation. So another banana bread's going to come off lately, but it'll come off later most likely. But it's not going to be the worst when it comes off later. Because a lot of the times if there's like an obvious fake opportunity for a spy and it's like, oh, I think that person faked, and then you hear another banana bread later like, oh yeah, definitely it was a fake. There's a big pool of people that were going to possibly be faking, so he's not going to be surprised. And we get a shot. I'm guessing it was the next fingerprint. Yeah, that would have been the last fingerprint to do it. Track on top of it, able to stop the slide, and we are back to tied.
Yeah, just a little bit too greedy there towards the end. It was kind of the same thing with the ballroom game where Opie really wanted this last print really desperately, so put himself as close as possible to getting it done. And then Track, well, in that situation, he thought he saw a bug. In this situation, just thought this was an extremely spy-like action to perform.
Very true. And Yeesh, can you remind me if we split this map, we are going into overtime, correct?
That is correct.
All right.
So
Well,
it all
we are.
comes down to library, and I gotta say I favor warning track in this scenario. I think a more solid camping style will do well, and not to say that Opie doesn't have a solid sniper style. I just think that track's experience on maps like Panopticon and Library, I think, are going to help him out more in this match.
All right. Well, I think that I agree. And yeah, let's like either way, whoever wins this first map will be going on to match point in the next game, and that is definitely the position you want to be in. So much more comfortable than being whoever is going to be taking the loss is going to be playing not just for a win, but playing to stay in for the tiebreakers. And we're going to be starting the game in 3, 2, 1, go.
And library, I think, is one of the maps where, oh my, that was
There's
such a good bug. I was about to talk about the map, but then you just get a bug like that, and you just, wow, that was insanely good.
That was a great bug because it was a time of chaos reverse driving bug. A lot of the time with time of chaos, I guess it wasn't super time of chaos. It was late time of chaos. It was AC. It was right after the chaos. But like it was still in the spot where the sniper's still getting ready and used to the map. Where is Ambassador going? Ambassador is taking a weird path around us. We could have got another bug in there at some point. And I think we're going to be playing quick this game. We're going to be trying to get everything done real soon. I kind of want to see him jump out of this conversation. Well, actually, I'm going to slow down. This is WarningTrack. He's going to timer flirt.
Yeah, on this map, it's really important to be aware of where the ambassador and where Toby are. If they're on the same side of the map, usually missions on the other side will be very free. In this case, they're split up, so I don't think WarningTrack can expect to just get something by Opie right now, especially with this early bug. I think he's just gonna slow play. Ideally, maybe go for Prince. The ambassador is at blue bookshelf right now, so a lot of opportunities available to us to decide how we want to finish.
Very true. Unfortunately, we spent all that time in the conversation circle with our seduction target just for them to leave right before. So we don't get anything for it, but we're definitely on pace right now. So let's see. Path of least resistance to me is obviously seduction target, something like inspects, but then we still got to get one more thing done. We haven't picked up a highlight yet. Okay, here I was going to say the big decision is whether or not to go to inspects before or after, because picking up this highlight tells me that he's not going to be going for transfer. And so purloin or swap is more likely in my mind. Transfer or really honestly even fingerprint. This kind of corrals him a little bit. Now, it's not going to matter too much from the sniper's perspective, but he's going to be much less likely to do transfer or fingerprint, because that you need to get lost in the party a bit more to do those. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it just seems to be a tendency. We might just be going for the purloin here. If he gets a green, it's huge. And we do not opt to go for the purloin, which is probably smart because we still have to do at least 2 more flirts.
Yeah, one thing we did miss out on that sucks is that print middle statue. We did not take it. So now, if Opie remembers that middle statue had a print, now we have even more suspicion for half of a mission that we didn't even do. So this could be really unfortunate for one if we end up picking another print later. Although it's getting to that point where prints are going to be unreliable if you go for it at this point.
Very true, and I think that that's a great observation. I completely missed it myself, but the thing that might actually go in our favor in that case is sometimes if you get the partial print and then you don't finish it, like if track does not actually go for that second print, OP might be using that as the cue to shoot Boots. Boots, by the way, only highlight on the map. That might be the cue to shoot Boots is going for that fingerprint. And we'll see. Okay, so we're putting a lot on this timer flirt. I'm guessing that we purloin if everything goes badly, but we still need to do the flirt no matter what. We're gonna fake contact.
And the red.
Unfortunately, the SDA is with us, so it doesn't lower any heat on us at all. Yeah,
and it's enough right there. Ooh,
I
tense
think
game.
you have to be crediting Print to take that shot because no purloin, no swap, and only went to one bookshelf. Like, you have to be crediting a print that you missed somehow, and then a bug you missed somehow. So pretty aggressive shot in my opinion from OP, but it's the correct one.
Very true. And I'm gonna take a look at that bug real quick. I'm just curious to see it. I liked it. And it was a very pretty bug, and so it's unfortunate because we started off with a great bug on this map, completely invisible. There was nothing that the spy could see in any way, and it's also something that isn't even suspicious as far as an AI position. The only thing that OP could have possibly done is like mentally credited as a possibility, but that is the best that they could have done. So we started off great, but unfortunately, OP has been actually able to read track on these large maps pretty
Banana
well.
bread.
Yeah, just most of the time when he's been spying, the early highlight just been kind of weighing him down when he's been trying to get those last missions. So whenever he's been highlight and then he takes another action, Opie's been shooting. So like for example, the veranda game, highlight for the second book, but then shot for the BB. So just a little bit tough. If we could stay just a touch more under the radar, I think we would have had these games. But you know, that's the way Spy Party goes. It's hard to really gauge how much suspicion you have sometimes.
All right. Well, yeah, I completely agree. And oh, this has been the closest, most tense set so far. And so, WarningTrack in the position where WarningTrack needs to win to take this to overtime. And we're going to be stepping into what is possibly the last game of the set on Library. And then there's a lot of pressure on Track in this one. And I think definitely something I want to echo that you've said is it's just like if Track had been like 5-10% less suspicious to Opie in whatever way that means, he would have been getting away with so much. These have been close shots. He's been getting a lot done, and it's been very interesting to see how Opie has been reacting and being able to read just enough to get him. But anyways, regardless, now it is on Track to snipe, and we're going to be stepping in as Seek for Opie, and Opie wins. He's going on to face Kaylee in the semifinals. If Track wins, we're going to overtime. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
It all comes down to this, but Opie, even though he had that pretty rough start with the red BB miss, has recovered pretty nicely and found some footing on Tan. So I think he could definitely pull this off. The position we're in right now, we get this flirt and maybe a bug.
Attempt, but not does not take, unfortunately.
Yeah, you have to be on like the edge of the conversation, like barely in order for that to work. And then if you do that, the sniper can sometimes see it. So it's a bit of a risk, but I don't mind the attempt because it's going to be usually free, especially with the guest right next to you.
Oh, we got another chance coming up. We'll see if we take it.
Banana
Oh, we've
bread.
banana bread instead.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do it just a second too early. What ends up happening is that instead of
Banana
getting the
bread.
bug animation, you end up getting the BB animation.
There
And then
is
obviously he's clicking as fast as possible to try to get the bug. So now he just red BBs, but we're not hired for it, so we're okay.
Yeah, no kidding. And like for real, like I actually get nervous for the sniper when there's a red BB because like just recently in the casts, I want to say that the sniper usually loses the red BB game. Track has to not overreact, and they don't appear to have. Like they didn't low light Seek. They got a lot of low lights. They kept low lighting, low light after low light. And Track really needs to not overreact. Right now, Track is in a pretty solid position. There's been a Purloin and a Contact and Seduce, so there's 2 more missions done, and we don't have a highlight and OP just yet, so it's going to be pretty tight, but it completely depends on how comfortable Track is going to be taking a shot on what he does see of OP from here on out. And let's see, do we have any highlights? We have no highlights in yet, so there's no obvious person that Track will shoot, because that's the other liability that Track has going for them right now. But there it is. It's enough. Just going to center statue, suspecting the rush, and that is it. Opie upsets in a lot of people's mind Track and is going to be going to face Crazy Kaylee in the semifinals.
Wow, what a set. 2 fake BBs, 2 spy wins. Fake BB is fake red BB is the strat. That was crazy. I guess the position we were in is just going to be very difficult to see the hand movement because our back was to the sniper, and then Boots with the Purloin warning track just had no idea who could have done it. Gonna be a forced shot there because contact, inspect, seduce, purloin is a mission win if they got a bug. So yeah, just a little maybe track could have held out there, but if he thinks the rush is happening, then I don't know. You can't do much after that.
No, that was a great set, and like one thing that it does use is it uses the banana bread well, where it all came down to that green purloin, which Boots hadn't been near, but there was enough going on with all the low lighting that was happening that I think track just lost who was in the chain completely, and so when track sees someone at center statues, knows that Purloin has gone off, knows that contact has gone off, and probably at least one of them is real. Flirt's probably done at that point. And then are we just going in and like crediting ourselves with maybe missing a bug? Are we just trying to finish right there and then before sniper would want to take a shot? Because that was an early shot, but it's the kind of one that a spy might try to sneak in under us. Um, yeah, really bold play that works out for Opie. And wow, what a close set.
Yeah, well done all around. And now Opie versus Kaylee. Obviously, you have to favor Kaylee, but Opie just pulled it out against Camper. Not maybe as it doesn't have as many accolades as Kaylee per se, but still definitely a strong player. So I think Opie maybe can give Kaylee a run for his money.
Very true, very true. And I'm gonna look at that bracket real quick. I just kind of want to. I actually might be able to just throw it on stream real quick. What do we got with the bracket? We've got OpiWrites versus Crazy Kaylee, and then the winner of Lazy Bear versus David W versus a Bear Rar, which everybody's hoping for the bear fight. So unfortunately, as mentioned earlier, everyone's rooting against you, David W. But we all like you, but we all want the bear fight. And then Opie versus Crazy Kaylee, whoever wins that, gonna be in the finals. Uh, Really like this tournament is one of the big ones where we're starting to see more and more of the newer players who haven't gotten a chance to really face some of the older players in SCL starting to show their stuff. That happened a little bit in the Summer Cup, but it is even more apparent so far here. Uh, Great stuff. Like I'm really afraid because right now I'm going to be shielded a bit from this new generation of players, but not for long. They're going to be in my league soon, either by meeting me by going up or meeting me by me dropping, and it's frightening because they are fantastic. They're making such good reads on even old players and not falling for the tricks that we like so much. Great stuff. And not to take anything from WarningTrack, this was a close set. There was a couple of big risks that we took that were calculated and did not go our way. Easily could have gone either way. And for my money, the most exciting match of the night. Even though I loved all the drama between Noob and Kaylee and a bear and Ryu. And
Yeah, I just
oh, sorry, I was cutting you off. Yeesh, do you have any final thoughts on any of the matches? I don't know if you were watching beforehand. If you have any commentary now that we got you on here, I love your perspective on stuff. So if you have any thoughts on the earlier matches tonight, I would like to give you the chance to say.
honestly, everybody in the lower half of the bracket is about the same skill level. Like Ryu, Bear Roar, Lazy Bear, David W. I think they're all about the same skill level. So I think any of those players could just come out of that. I think it just depends on who's playing better on the day or who's making. I think the better spy will win those games. Kaylee versus Opie. I think New put up a solid fight. It relies so much versus Kaylee on these swingier maps like a Pub 3-5 and Tayan that if you don't perform on those maps, it's just going to be tough. And you have to play solid all around too, so I don't know. Opie's gonna have to bring the spy and the sniper game in order to take that set. And I don't know if this is correct, but I think Opie is changing the format for the semifinals or the finals. I'm not quite sure about that, but if there is a change, that would be interesting. Although Opie hopefully doesn't change it to, well, you're not allowed to camp for the semifinal match.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. I was saying when you're saying that it's changing the rules for the semifinals, like, oh, now the tournament organizers all of a sudden changing rules. Yeah, we're not. He's
Mm,
not trying to fix it, but um,
no, I'm just purely joking around, but I know there was supposed to be a format change for semifinals or at least the finals. So we'll have to see what changes shake up. I think those will all be in the so if you're not in there already, discord.gg/spy party. Hop on in, enjoy, hang out with the community.
yes, very much so. Very exciting times for the community, especially recently, where uh, these new players are starting to break into the old guard, and like they've been very much accepted, and they very much fought for their place and earned their place among the players that have been here for forever. So this is also one of the most open that it's been for players of different skill levels. You can jump up in skill so quickly, and then be fighting players in tournaments. Like we've been running more tournaments lately than at any point. It used to be that SCL kind of crowded out the rest of the tournament, so it was harder for newer players to really get competitive experience versus older players. I know for myself, I don't play that many matches, competitive matches outside of SCL, and so I don't think that, and I think that Kaylee has sort of like dropped off a little bit in that regard too. So sometimes you don't really get to play some of the old guard, and you have trouble practicing against them. But now that we have these consistent tournaments going on, new players are being matched up against old players, and then we can really see the different metas kind of collide a little bit, and one learns from the other, and it's wonderful. And I loved this tournament. Like I usually kind of like pay attention more to like the really old tournaments, either SCL or Summer Cup. This tournament's been great. I hope we keep doing it. It's been a lot of fun to watch.